Recently, St. Mary's finished a 6-week series on climate change. At its conclusion, participants were asked to reflect on our emotions regarding the climate crisis. Understandably, many people felt horrified, dismayed, shocked, helpless. Me, I'm inspired, I'm pumped, I'm jacked. To be sure, there is a lot of dire climate news, so let me explain. First of all, we are not the victims. Comparing St. Mary's to the average global citizen, we are more American. We're richer, say in the world's top 10%, but probably the top few percent. I generalize, but you get the idea. And we at St. Mary's tend to be older than the average global citizen. Being richer and older means we're less susceptible to the ravages of climate change, which will get worse in the decades to come. So we are not the victims of climate change. Arguably, we're the perpetrators over our lifetimes as a group, generating far more carbon per capita than the average global citizen. The very characteristics, wealth and age, that keep us from being victims likely also indict us. In any case, we're the beneficiaries of fossil fuels. Have you lived a relatively comfortable life materially? Thank you, fossil fuels. A warm home in winter? Thank you again. Enjoy travel to see friends, family, and sights? Enjoyed international travel? Seen London Tower, Eiffel Tower, Leaning Tower? Thank you again, fossil fuels. But now we have come to realize that lifetime of benefits comes with a terrible price tag. So who can save the world now? This is why I'm so pumped up. Who can save the world? People with resources, say the world's wealthiest 10%, and certainly the top few percent. Who can save the world? People with serious academic and professional credentials. St. Mary's is chock full of engineering, scientific, computer, business, legal, educational, construction, social service, medical, political, governmental, administrative, finance, fundraising, international, and other expertise. Many a mid-sized company, community college faculty, local government, or country club would envy our credentials. We have many years of postgraduate education, including doctorate degrees. We have experience with activism. Who can save the world? People who currently have large carbon footprints. Americans, as a rule, are high per capita contributors. Our discretionary vacation choices alone equal the carbon footprints of many other people worldwide. Who can save the world? People who are connected, as are we, connected to each other, to other churches, to other people in general, and influencers and folks in power in particular, given our personal and social networks. People who are citizens of the world's most powerful democracy. But wait, there's more. For someone to save the world, these people need to be woke, to understand the issue at hand, like people who just finished a 6-week series on climate change, or even just keep up on the news. For someone to save the world, they must have a moral compass, like members of a faith community, hint, hint. In short, I'm inspired about the climate problem because I can picture the people who can save the world. We are those people. St. Mary's is a sleeping giant. In his letter from a Birmingham jail, Martin Luther King Jr. had much to say about sleeping giants, specifically churches. Here are excerpts. Wait, wait has almost always meant never. Justice too long delayed is justice denied. We will have to repent, not merely for the bad people, but for the appalling silence of the good people. I have been disappointed with the church, which has remained silent behind the anesthetizing security of stained glass windows. In deep disappointment, I wept over the laxity of the church, its fear of being nonconformists. In the early days, the church was not merely a thermometer that recorded the ideas and principles of popular opinion. It was a thermostat that transformed the mores of society. So often, the contemporary church is a weak, ineffectual voice with an uncertain sound. If today's church does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authenticity, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the current century. Every day, I meet young people whose disappointment with the church has turned into outright disgust. Awake, O sleeping giant. Do not hit snooze. The house is on fire. No time to rub the sleep out of your eyes. The house is on fire. No wringing your hands in despair or self-pity. You've had a nice run with fossil fuels, and now the house is on fire. So encourage one another. Speak of the crisis. Do a carbon calculator. Cut back on travel and other fossil fuel consumption. Switch your electric plan to carbon-free. Buy less stuff. Support climate efforts financially. Write to businesses and elected officials. Vote. Volunteer with a phone bank. Act as a community. Recapture the spirit of the early church so young people will see that the church is indeed relevant to this century. The climate news is sobering, but much progress is already being made. At this critical moment in the fight, let us derive hope from the realization of how much we have to contribute. We can do this thing if only we act. Awake, O sleeping giant.